Actually turn it idiot. Uh-oh, running out of life, boys. Cool, yours sucks. The same thing as yours. If you go like this. Yours sucks. Check mine out. Look. You go like that, you get more area. That's fun. Make funny business. Yeah, flash on there. You alright? You're going to catch cold for 3. 10 seconds.
All right, folks, keep them coming in here, please. I want you to pass that sign to me. Down the sign, you said it's rock wall zone. Keep walking in here, close to the wall. You can come over there with the breeze. And I'm pretty sure you want to make that nice. What do you got?
No.
All right. Are there any objections? All righty, folks. Welcome into the mall of Crystal Cave. Again, thank you for coming. I'm glad you're here. I want to go deeper inside, and as we go deeper inside, there's a bit of a glitch that I've noticed as I've been going through the caves. What happens sometimes on my tours is that when we go through the caves, you go from being human to becoming this mineral called calcite. Now, I haven't quite figured out what's going on or how it works, but it tends to happen. And the problem is that as soon as I go through there, I'm fine. I don't change. But the rest of you change into this mineral, and I'm seriously, I hope we can maybe figure out what's going on here. But as soon as we get past that gate, you're going to turn into this mineral, and it might be a little wonky at first, so we might have to take some time to get your bearings. Don't worry, we'll work through it together. If you need help, I'll do my best to help you. Being a mineral is a little harder than being human, so I understand. So, we're going to go through this gate, and we're going to begin our journey through time. How long is this?
Ratio. It goes back to. Pouring it on the rock. Pouring it on the rock. Spray it on the rock. See this one. Move this off. Oh, that's not good at all. I have ambition.
I don't. Okay.
Wait, pictures are constant. It is rich. What you see is last. Oh, they got that. You see two flash on and off. You see flash. Why? Is that like oh, excuse me.
This is part of being scientific. Alright, can you have all my calcite plates inside out? Alright. What looks like all my calcite plates inside out? Yeah. is the twilight zone, the very entrance of the cave. It gets dark very fast. This is your home. Get used to it. Alright, go and turn your lights back on. So follow me, my dear friends.
I was scared.
That's pretty narrow and dark. Yeah. It's only like, what, 20 feet?
Yeah.
Did you just say it's cold when the lights off? Oh, dang, that's cool. Oh, wow, that's a nice color. You know where you want me to shine the light?
That's your set.
Oh, yeah, that's way, huh?
Then on time.
Lower your center of gravity.
I think we did it original. I think we did. It's game on maybe.
And the same too. Wait.
It sounds like
Basically, they find like a set of species.
My lights are turning a lot of that.
I'm off, dude. I've got
Oh, there we go.
Camera light.
I want to see how dark it would be.
What's your headlight? Oh, it's a bit drippy, huh?
So it doesn't drip in your hair.
That's actually
I've had it. The drips will stay in your shirt. It ruined the shirt of mine.
dang. This cave is dank.
Hi, folks. Currently, one person passageway behind you here, folks. There's going to be some humans coming through here very shortly. First coming through here, Mr. Fish. Well, you can come closer, it's okay. The worst thing I'll do is I'll hug you. And I'll try not to touch you, because I know if I touch you, it actually destroys a lot of things, so I don't want to do that. Now, what do you think of your home so far? It's dark, yeah, your home is a little dark, but it's kind of pretty, right? You like your home? Well, that's good. I'm glad you like it. Well, again, folks, my name is Hunter. I just want to remind you in case, because sometimes in the whole transition, your memory does get a little wonky, and sometimes you can't forget things. But I want to tell you about how you got here. So you probably are wondering, well, I'm here now, but how did I get here? Well, it's all a fun story. It starts about 250 million years ago, when you were just a young hunter. But we're going to start a little sooner than that. If you actually look over here, if you want to, you can take all your flashlights and actually look at this area here. See this formation here? It looks a little bit like a nightmare that, well, a human dentist might have to worry about. Now, that formation is called a speleogeny. It's the first generation of formation to occur inside of the cave. It goes through the process of something called speleogenesis, which is where that water that you hear running behind you is going to cut through it. And it's cutting through it because of that reaction I showed you, the water is slightly acidic. From up top, it's gathered carbon dioxide from the soil and the air and becomes slightly acidic. And now it has come through this marble and cut it out by removing the calcite from the marble. And when it does that, it goes to speleogenesis and cuts out this first formation called a speleogeny. And then the next step is it goes into a speleothem. Now it looks like something up here. So when I look on, take my lights, point up there. There you go. I know, the motor skills are a little tricky. But these are called now speleothems. These speleothems are the next evolution where now that calcite, that's now no longer part of the marble, is deposited as its own formation. And now, it's left to become something that you see here, this popcorn and stuff, right? Now, it is known as Cape Popcorn if you feel hungry, but was commonly known as Cape Coral. Now, Cape Coral is a really great name because it means, well, it lends to its history, where it comes from. All right. What do you want to turn off the light? Let's see if those filthy humans are coming.
Pretty cool.
Now, as these humans are coming through, they are very dirty. Keep it in mind. Humans, they leave trash, they leave hair, gum, all kinds of nasty things in your home. So as these humans come on through, you can come on down, by the way. Just feel free to boo them. That little big old boo. They don't belong here. It's not their home.
I'll go in the head.
Well, I try my best to scare the humans off, but I'm only one. I'm only one of 7-point-something billion humans that live on this planet. And unfortunately, I cannot keep them all out of your home, so I'm sorry. I tried my best. Does anyone have any questions on how to get the cave? No?
Ask him what the rock is.
No questions on speleogenesis?
Ask him who's this rock guy.
He's talking about this rock there.
Quite possible. Not too much. It might go through a small passageway. Somewhere. I got it. Whoa! Get out of here, you humans! Whoa! There's the ringleader right here, King! The ringleader of filthy humans. Let's get him out of here!
This is the sacrifice group to the Bigfoots. They let him feel like they're doing.
He likes to say that.
Alright, I'm gonna hop out. He just gave away his plan, dude. What the heck? I can be big
He's
for food.
delusional.
I'll see you later.
Sorry about this, folks. I promise
See, that
I'll try
girl
to get
took
him out
nothing.
faster. I try my best.
You beat some of us. He's like, no, not like to death. How many blows did he took? He's like, kiss him.
Probably 15.
15 blows? Did you just kill him?
Yeah.
I think 3.
Well, your home, rather,
7 tops.
was rediscovered by humans in 1918
Oh, yeah.
by 2 humans by the name of Alexander Bentley and Cassius Webster. And, well, those guys, they were park rangers, and they were fishing at Cascade Creek by where you entered. And right there, well, they noticed that there was some wind moving in the branches and leaves when there was no breeze. So because of that, they got a little curious. They came over and they found the mouth of your home and got super excited and ran up to the superintendent, Walter Fry. And he, being the cave enthusiast he was actually one of the good ones. He was a good human, I promise. And Walter Fry came down here and he saw your home and he was impressed with your home. And he named it Crystal Cave. Now, he wanted to take people. He wanted to take humans to come through here, come through your home. And when he did so, unfortunately, the humans, well, they went to their destructive nature. They were touching formations, breaking formations, and after 2 months of taking humans through here, he stopped it. And after he stopped it, he barricaded it for 20 years, but for those 20 years, the cave would not be accessed by humans, except illegally. Oh, hello. Are you on? No, they're over there. They're coming down. Okay, is people still coming? Yeah. Cool. All right. This is the whole minute tour. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay to listen in. How many more people coming down? Still? That's all right. Humans are slow.
It's a real tour. I gotta go up there.
Oh, I just got drenched. Oh, right in the back of my hair.
Touching this ain't water? It's not water?
I have to go that way. Sometimes I wonder if I should get a really long stick and just pull it. Yeah, just go straight down.
Thank you. We didn't gonna go up.
No, then you get lost. All right. Alrighty. We got the last bit of humans. Alright, so I'm gonna wait for you folks to leave the room over that way, so that way I can turn off the lights and save the cave. But feel free to take what time long enough. I have to wait till we leave the room so I can turn off lights and continue on the way. Sorry. Okay. Very good. They went down that way. It's going completely dark. And 3, 2, 1. I warned you.
Good.
If someone can point the light that way the poor one lady can find her way out. Thank you. Alright. Now that all those filthy humans are out of the way, let's continue on our journey. Now, this is like your junction, this is your hub, this is where everything starts. We are actually going to jump about 250 million years in the past, and you're going to see something very different. A whole new life where you first began, as a little tiny speck. Follow me.
Oh, man.
I did not know you could do that. Takili ko may laway. Takili na.
You know that?
Yo, hey, the guy went down there. Yeah, that's where the trail goes.
Hey, 0 dark 30.
Hey, 0 dark 30, I'm cool. Turn off your lights. Dude, I gotta look at the ground. I'll do this.
They don't want to do it.
Wow. Why didn't turn this off such a Come on, Reese, yo.
You don't gotta move.
Mikey's like freaking out. Yo.
Huh. Oh, that was a puddle.
What's up, JC?
Watching folks with some spots right there. You're out of here. You're not sitting here, definitely seats. If not, the whole floor here is definitely available. Another one from Steve. I would not recommend sitting there, it's very uncomfortable, but
I'll just sit right here.
if you go for it, whatever you're supposed to go. Well, good to see every single one of you made it through the portal. You're all here now. I know it may not seem like much, but welcome to 250 million years ago. And you might think, well, 250 million years ago, that's just a really long time ago. Why is that important? Well, 250 million years ago, there's this wonderful supercontinent. Anyone know the name of it? Very good, Pangea. Pangea, where all the continents that we know nowadays combined together to make this massive continent. There were creatures everywhere. The majority of the life was actually in the oceans during this time. And in a few years or so, about 100 years later, Pangea would, break apart. But before that happened, imagine yourself. You're this tiny little crystal. You're a little combination of an element called calcium and an ionic compound called carbon, which is CO3, carbon dioxide, or carbon, as well as 3 oxygens put together. You can have your lights on, it's okay. You don't have to turn them off. If you want to turn them off, you don't want to. And you're sitting there, and you're probably either part of a clamshell or you're part of a coral reef. And on this coral reef, you may have seen color of different kinds of plants, different animals, and probably one of the most famous animals you may have seen is something called a chiron. This little guy loves to crawl on the ocean floor and actually can be quite a menace to other creatures. He likes to eat other creatures. Now you may or may not have seen a few of them, waddling around on the, not waddling, but crawling around on the ground. They're kind of cute, they almost might, spook your way into your heart, but it depends on how you look at things. Now as you're sitting there in that ocean, you're enjoying your peace, and it's beautiful, and you're loving it. Well, if you get better or worse, depending on how you view this. Now, within 100 years later of you witnessing this life, and you begin to see larger creatures begin to swim. Because during this time, waters would begin to warm. And as the water began to warm, certain creatures would die off, and you wouldn't see them anymore. But these newer, much larger creatures, and their skin almost looking like leather, would begin to take prominence. And what do you think those creatures are? Dinosaurs. At the time when the dinosaurs walked the earth, you now have walked into the Mesozoic. The Mesozoic is a time period where dinosaurs primarily ruled the earth. And before that happened, there was a large warming of the water and warming of the earth that killed off a good number of those creatures that used to live there. And the dinosaurs took prominence. And in 100 years, after Pangea, all of a sudden Pangea said, well, you know what? I don't want to be together anymore. We're breaking up. And so Pangea split up into multiple different continents that started moving away from each other. Now the one that you would have been closest to, we now know as North America, began moving in a direction, to the west. And as it moved to the west, you would have been, sitting there enjoying your life, but then you may have, experienced something unusual. Some of you may have experienced some smoothing, some of you may have been covered in dirt and dust and silt, but also some of you may have noticed that you've moved even closer to land. But in this process, you're getting squeezed a little bit, so actually, as you're getting squeezed, we're going to go through a tight squeeze. So follow me?
Dude.
Hopefully everyone makes it through!
Last man. Steven thought he was fine.
Yeah, I was laughing.
I got him back though.
There's a couple of squatters in here.
Any change? I'm getting squished, dude.
Don't hit your head.
Oh man, yeah. Oh, I'm too tall.
That's knocked his head over.
Too tall.
As you go to there's a nice lock up there where you're totally just passing by. I don't know why. It's prime real estate for this room, I promise you. Go up there. Enjoy it. You don't have to, but I would highly recommend it. As a personal experience. Is that everyone? All my calcite buddies make it through? Oh my gosh. It looks like we did. Well, that's better than the last group. We lost about 20 of them, only 5 remained. It happens sometimes. But I'm just glad that everyone made it to that tight squeeze. Because time travel can be a little tricky. Anyone ever heard of the butterfly effect?
Yes.
Well, I'm surprised you actually remember that being calcite law, but what happens sometimes is if one of you dies, it can totally just alter everything. Like a room can simply look just different. Is come in, let everyone from behind you come in and everyone can see what's going on. And I'm just like, what's going on there? I can't see. Alright. Everyone made it through? Damn, I have to try harder next time. Well, I'm glad that everyone made it through. I'm glad all my calcite friends have made it through. And welcome to the next stage of your life. Now, 140 million years ago, this is still during the time of the dinosaurs. You would have seen more and more of these giant creatures swimming around in the oceans around you, but also at the same time you may have experienced some squeezing. And during this squeezing, well, some of you may or may not have pain. Some of you may appear in complete darkness. Some of you, well, will begin to stay alive and experience more. So everyone go ahead and turn our lights off real quick. Oh, oops. I'm terrible, I'm sorry. Get back in. This is what you would have seen if you would have become buried. At that time of squeezing, there was also a lot of sediment that would have buried you alive, per se, and you would have become, well, part of the sedimentary layers and turned into a new rock. You would have turned into a sedimentary rock called limestone. No longer you were coral reef or part of a clamshell. You are now a rock. Now, as this rock, it wouldn't experience much except for maybe some shifting, some pushing, and some pressure, but it may be kind of fun for you. It's all a matter of perspective. And you would be continuing to be pushed until 118 million years ago. And if, well, I can't really do math that well, but I'll try my best. It's about less than 20 million years. You would have been experiencing pressure, pushing, getting shifted around, pushed somewhere else, probably being pushed upwards and then getting pushed downwards. And you would have just been like, well, I'm all along for the ride. It's just this long underground roller coaster. So I'm going to turn my light back on. You want to turn your light back on?
What? Is there so much meaning?
Now, at this point, you are still limestone, but you cannot see much for light. You have completely lost sight of the ocean. No longer can you see the light of day, and you're just trying to make it through whatever you can. And unfortunately for you, you may not see much for the next, well, couple hundred years. So we're going to continue on. We're going to continue back, forwards in time, back to present time, and hopefully you might make it out alive.
That's a good question.
I scared myself.
Huh.
By the way, folks, watch your head in this next passageway. I almost knocked myself out.
Dude, it sounds just like Claptrap.
The way he talks.
Yeah.
his intonation, but not the like the vocal quality of the pitch. Yeah, it's cool. Yo, what's up? My boy asked.
Oh, wow.
Kind of looks like it's covered in icing.
Yeah, it's the same
It's just calcified rock.
What's that?
Oh, is that a fossil?
This is called the Skull Buster. Oh, this is a good spot to stop on. Thanks. My neck. I need a chiropractor. I'm gonna neck broke.
Like I said, time travel to be tricky. That's hard. So far, I think everyone's doing it today. Go ahead, squeeze it in here. Don't get comfortable. Remember, at this point, you're getting squeezed, so you may have to get close to each other. They get really close to your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your mothers, your uncles, your friends, your best friends, your second uncles twice removed, your aunts, your great aunts, your great grandmother, your grandfather, so forth. You're all one giant, big, happy family. All squished together as one, so. Is that everyone? Is that all my CalSci friends there?
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, I'm proud that everyone made it through. During that whole portion of those tight squeezes, you probably would have been buried a little bit deeper underground, but also probably a little, not too far away from the surface. And at this time, well, there was something interesting going on that you couldn't really see. But one of those plates that I mentioned earlier, called the Farallon plate, well, it was actually going underground. And as it was going underground, it was producing magma. And magma's a bunch of liquid rock full of gas, and what gas wants to do is expand and grow. But it can't do that when it's under so much pressure. So we have to go ahead and turn off your lights. I know, turning off lights again. Here we go. Remember, turn off your lights. Everyone. Oh. Sorry, buddy. You're stuck in here now. Now, at the time, you would have felt a lot of heat and a lot of pressure. And suddenly, out of nowhere, redness would start rising from the surface and come close to you. And some of you may not make it out alive, but some of you might actually get burnt alive and die in a very horrible death. But do not worry, or it's just magma. And some of that magma would actually take some of you and bake you like a cookie. And you would go from being limestone to something new. Something called marble. Now, half of you may survive, half of you may not live, so forth. The list goes on. But I'm sure a majority of you would make it through. Don't worry, my CalSci friends. You'll be alive. You'll make it through. Trust me on this one. And as you make it through, this magma would begin to disappear, and sooner or later, you wouldn't see much for light. And you would return back to darkness, and eventually, well, that may or may not happen. Sometimes it happens. As a little bit of dirt gets removed, so one person turning the light off. And what happens is sometimes you might see a little bit of sunlight. Everyone turn the lights back on.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually you would turn back to the surface as a whole new rock. And you would return to the surface, well, something else would happen. So follow me. puddle here.
Oh, puddle. Puddle. What's that, puddle?
Here so far, everyone's standing part of that giant chunk of lava.
Why is there so much bread? Wow, that's really good wood.
Same temperature here all year round.
He's gonna snipe you? Yeah. Look at what aiming it at me. That's a quick scope, ready? This is the machine gun.
Roof pendants. It's what geologists, these humans that study rocks, these guys, they like to call them roof pendants because these giant chunks of marble would hang like a pendant from a roof inside of these magma chambers. And as that magma cooled, it would become something known as granite, or granodiorite, diorite, and so forth. And that is what makes up the Sierra Nevada. That burning would have begun about 120 million years ago and would have lasted until 90 million years ago. And until then, we would remain underground, so eventually being revealed as those volcanoes got eroded away. The present day, we now are inside of it. Welcome home. Thank you. I try my best. Now, I need all of you to turn off your flashlights. I'm going to try to do something real quick, alright? So go ahead and turn off your flashlights. Everyone turn off your flashlights.
Come on, dude.
Alright. So, this doesn't always work, but I'm going to try my best. I'm going to try to turn you back into human. Now, I'm not that much of a wizard, but again, I'm going to try. So, okay. Okay, ready? On three, alright? On three, you want to reveal yourselves, alright? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Hey! You made it back!
I have legs again.
Oh my gosh. Oh, whew. I was really worried about that. Sometimes it doesn't always work. Alright, well, I'm glad everyone's back to normal. Now, unfortunately, you missed out on a whole tour, so I'm really sorry. That's the end of it. It sucks to you guys, so I'm not asking you to come to stay. Alright, so, when you guys are back at Calcite, one of the Calcite buddies of mine actually asked a question about, well, does the cave maintain the same temperature year-round? And that is true, it does. This cave will retain about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 degrees Celsius all year round, with some minor changes, maybe 1 or 2 degrees. And that's because we have water in here. And water, to meteorologists or people who study the atmosphere, well, water is known as the great mediator. It keeps things in a nice balance. It doesn't change much for temperature. And as well, we also don't have the sun in here. So, without the sun producing any heat or any kind of change in temperature, well, it stays pretty consistently cold. Are there any questions? No? Alright. Well, since you didn't get to go through and see the tour, I'll take you all through the tour now. So follow me, folks. And as you follow through with me, Feel free to ask as many questions as you want. I know you might be a little curious because now you're just coming into the cave. Last thing you knew, you're outside. Now you're inside. Well, how did I get here? That's totally fine. We can answer those questions when we get to the next one. So follow me. Oh, cool. It does look like saber-tooth tiger. What is that for? Oh, it's really funny though. It's like there's some calcite that was actually mentioned that it looks like a saber-tooth tiger. It's a saber-tooth tiger, but now it makes sense.
Oh, that was really shiny. I love a spot. Super shiny.
You gotta remember these backlights are century souls. Practically dinosaurs. Everybody here ever seen before dinosaurs?
Oh, huh.
Alrighty. Looks like everybody's checked inside. Welcome inside, everybody. How's everyone doing so far? Good.
Still adjusting.
Does anyone have any questions?
Where are the bats?
Ah, that's an excellent question. Where are the bats? Now, I would love to be able to tell you, how many bats we've got and where exactly they are, but unfortunately, bats are mammals just like we are. They have minds of their own, so they like to go to places wherever they want to go. Now, bats preferably don't like humans too terribly much, for there's actually a bat monitoring program over at Wuxachi that starts at 9 o'clock today, so if you want to go check out them maybe catching some bats, you might get a better understanding of why bats don't like humans. That's because we capture them. We captured them to study them, and when we captured them, last time I went, they caught a California Myotis bat, and it was not happy. The poor little guy was biting he was not happy about being caught, and so because of that, well, they get a little feisty. Now, any other questions or concerns? There's no such thing as a stupid question. Sir, please try not to lean or touch the formations. I know it might be tempting, but still, that's part of the cave. You have just successfully now killed that formation.
Wow.
Alrighty, are there any other questions? No? The bat monitoring program is at 9 o'clock p.m. It's over by Wuxachi Lodge. It's actually in the back parking lot over by the Clover Creek Trailhead. If you just park in the parking lot and ask people in the lodge, you'll probably tell you that there's some tea lights, and you can follow those tea lights out to the bat monitoring program. You're welcome.
Going to dinner later.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll be over there tonight. I'm actually going to be heading over to the bat farming program myself. It's actually being led by one of my colleagues. Her name is Bridget, and supported by one of my other colleagues named Scott. Any other questions, concerns, hobbies, tidbits, wonders?
Is there a name for this formation?
There is. What musical instrument does it look like to you the most?
Organ.
Organ. There you go. That is known as the organ. This formation here is called the organ. It's a type of flowstone with a combination of something called curtains. Now, curtains are a type of form, sphere. That form when you have a rounded edge, like as you see up here. What happens is that calcite will run across that rounded edge slowly but surely. And as it does so, it eventually gets down to this beautiful flowing set of curtains. Any questions? Oh yeah, and by the way, that formation lends itself to the name of this room, so the name of this room is called the organ room. No questions?
Why did this cave form?
Why did the cave form?
Yes.
Well, it just happened to be a complete coincidence that the rock happened to be in the right place at the right time, where there was rock that was much weaker that got eroded away by water and made those little valleys and drainages that actually allowed something called Yucca Creek to form. And as that happened, Yucca Creek started to work its way through the marble here by collecting some sediments from snowmelt and rainfall, and it eventually would start eroding away through the cave and forming it through. Any other questions? No? Well, then I'll give you fun facts. How about that? Alright, so go ahead and put your lights down this area here. See this little line here? Now, we as humans were some very curious creatures, right? As I mentioned, there was two rangers that discovered this cave in 1918. Now, after that time, about 1938, the 20 years later that I was talking about, 1938, the Civilian Conservation Corps came to Sequoia and Kingston National Park. And they came in here and they made this cave way more accessible to the public. Adding a trail, a lighting system, as well as bathrooms, a diesel generator power lighting system, the trail down to the cave gate, the cave parking lots, and the road down to the cave as well as the cave gate. A lot of stuff that they added just to make it more accessible for us. But also, that little line signifies something much, much sadder. That whole floor used to be covered in one thing that we are actually currently walking on now. Cement. This whole floor was covered in cement. And when that happened, well, it took away, as you see, a good chunk of that formation, as well as took away this formation, well, and took away the wilderness of the cave, the wild aspect of the cave, and the home that this belongs to many creatures. And they call it home. Primarily invertebrates, as well as vertebrates, and arthropods. Now, that was done, why there was concrete here, is simply because, well, they had up to 200 people coming through on each tour. And so to accompany that, well, why not put a giant concrete platform? And that lasted until about the year 2004, 2006-ish. That's when it finally got removed. And when it got removed, we suckered a bunch of you folks to come down here, take that concrete up the trail with you, because there's not very many of us, and we suckered them to take it up there, and when we took it up there, people were going to this rubble pile, mainly looking for pieces of marble or chunks of the cave that they can take home with them. And we said that was fine. So you can see we've come from an interesting past. But after that whole massive chunks were pulled out, we had people coming with toothbrushes and picks to actually clean it out. And when they came in to clean it out, well, it looks much prettier. So you have the curtains and the flowstone up here. Down here, you have something called a dome, which is another type of flowstone where the water just comes over and deposits that calcite. And even further down here, you see more of that cave coral, cave popcorn looking stuff, right? And you see something that looks like wet spaghetti. But it's not really that wet. Now, right here, that is actually known as something called a brimstone dam. What a brimstone dam is you have water that drips from up top, and it comes down, and the landscape. What happens initially is that water droplet comes down on that bare surface, that water bears the calcite, and calcite gets ejected from that water droplet and splashes onto the side, giving that popcorning-like shape. Now, that was full earlier in the season, but it has dried up since, because less water has been moved through it. But also, what happens is when it fills up slowly, you get that puddle that slowly builds up, and what happens when the drop hits that puddle, And actually, the calcite now then rides a wave, going, cowabunga, dude! And as it goes off the side, it actually connects with the rest of its calcite buddies, forming a rimstone again. Any other questions? No questions? No concerns? Nothing?
What other living things are there?
So two examples we give you is something called a murai millipede, which we may or may not see along as we go through the trail. If I see any, I'll try to point them out to you. The murai millipede is about 1/2 inch or less long, has no eyes, is pigmentless, and is a decomposer. So it likes to eat rotting wood, dead leaves, as well as dying millipedes from the outside known as Yosemite millipedes, which are much bigger by the way. Any other questions, concerns, audience? Right?
Are there any fish in the water?
No fish. No living fish or crustaceans that live inside this cave. Just bugs. Permanently. Well, I'm going to assume I'm doing a very good job, and I'm going to continue on forward here. Again, as we go through, if you have any questions, please ask. It's okay to ask questions. Follow me here, folks. Watch your head.
Sir, you struck formation.
Yeah, you know what happened? I rocked my head off of it.
I ask you to leave.
I had my light on.
Go ahead and find your way out. That's how you tell someone to leave. Go ahead and find your way out.
It was completely unintentional.
You were legit investing in
You're so dumb.
it. Spread out.
Make room. Bam. Few rooms. What was I supposed to?
Rock there, wobbly down.
I've hit it at least 6 times.
Next one, you actually fall asleep.
Yeah, you deserve that. You should deserve it.
I see it.
You successfully killed that. Yeah, he's a rock. I see you want to get this thing.
Alrighty, let's get everyone's sight. How's everyone doing so far? Well, we gotta feel good. It's alright. It's okay, I'm boring. Now, are there any questions that you have?
Question on the beer.
What? What's up? What's your question, miss?
These little kind of like spacings between the rocks, they kind of look like dynamite form, like kind of like shapes.
Oh, good question. So, I'm not sure if you need to notice, but as you're going through that passageway up to here, you may have noticed some very circular look like drill holes. Did anyone notice those? Yeah? Well, that was done by the Civilian Conservation Corps. About in 1938 to 1940 when they were actually making the trail through here. Well, they had to blast through some solid marble. Now, here's the cool part. For a bunch of 19 and 18-year-olds, they did a pretty good job because they didn't damage any of the pipe or the speaking of gems or the speaking of pens. They didn't damage any of them. Now, did you trust your 19 or 18-year-olds with TNT? I didn't think so. Because I wouldn't even trust myself. I wouldn't even trust myself with explosives. Personally, I like explosives. Probably would be a really bad idea. Now, also when the CCC was coming through here, they actually got they used something inside this room that was kind of cool. And it actually is right over here. So everybody look over here. Now, what mythological creature does that look like to you? Dragon. Very good. Now, this dragon was how the CCC figured out how to get out of the cave. Because as you can tell, so here's its maniacal red eye. And here's its fire spitting out. Here's its scorched earth. Here's its wonderful, gorgeous mane. And its wing that extends all the way up to here. It's huge. It's a massive dragon. And this dragon, well, they knew that the dragon was trying to fly the cave, so they used it to their advantage. So they went this way, and they were trying to get out of the cave. And also, as I point this way, another little fun fact over in that direction there is, well, there's another tour, which is probably way cooler than this tour, called the Wild Cave Tour. And the last one is about to roll over this Saturday. Wild Cave Tour is a okay, through the last 4.5 hours. You have 2 hours inside a cave on one route, half-hour break, and 2 hours inside on another route. And that's going off trail, crawling through, climbing, and you are led by 2 naturalists. And when you're going through here, well, it's almost pitch black in some of the places you go to, and you can help me get that. Thank you. And as you're going through here, you will get to see some very cool things. You might be able to see some glowworms, you might be able to see some flatworms that live in portions. There's actually a little puddle behind this formation here where a lot of flatworms live. Any questions? Oh, by the way, that tool will run you $140 a pop. Oh. Yeah, that's the catch. But it's because we provide you with all the gear, and you get to go inside the portions of the cave that no one really gets to see. Kind of cool. I think so. Now, I want to take a look over here at this formation. Now, what do you think that looks like to you? Jabba the Hutt. Excellent! That is actually one of the nicknames of that formation, known as Jabba the Hutt. Has anyone ever seen Spaceballs?
Yeah.
A few of you, I guess? I'll assume so, because no one's really saying much. That's alright. But I think it looks a little bit more like pizza. Because it looks more like melted cheese, right? Pizza, no? Yeah. To each their own. Now, that formation actually will lend its name to this room, and no, it's not the Jabba the Hutt room. I mentioned the name of this formation in the previous room. Can you identify it? Not Jabba the Hutt. No. Dome. Very good. So the name of this room is the Dome. Excellent. Welcome to the Dome, folks. Now, the Dome is actually a really massive formation. It actually starts off really, really tiny. So everyone point lights over here. These tiny little guys, those are called soda straws. Well, and they work just like soda straws. And so what happens, you have water that comes down the inside, leaves a little ring, and then they grow longer and longer that way. Now sometimes the water levels will pick up, and you have more water flowing through. Water will come down the outsides of them, and as that comes down the outside, the end part gets capped off, and they get more of this carrot shape that you see over here, or up over here. That more familiar shape is something called a stalactite. Very good, because they hold tight to the ceiling. Now, those stalactites can actually drip and drip and drip, and we'll form something that's also over here. See those little mounds over here? Those are something called stalagmites. Very good. Now, those stalagmites, well, they might reach the ceiling. Now, what do you call them when they come together? Columns. Very good. And those columns, well, they start off a little small sometimes, but they can also get really thick and rotund. Sorry. And when they get really rotund, you got a dome. And this is the dome. And all it is just water running down the sides, leaving a itty bitty bit of calcite. Now over here, this area where it's a little ball of white, it actually was water cascading from the top down here in consistent little waves in the very beginning of the season. Which, by the way, has never happened for the past 10, almost 11 years. Thanks to the wonderful job you've been experiencing. And that actually will lead down to some more current formations, and that leads down to some more limestone dams below. Are there any questions so far?
How long will it take them to form that dome?
So yeah, I wish I could give you an exact answer, but dating these things is really, really hard. But what I can do is I can leave you the word problem. Everyone say. Now, who likes doing math?
No.
Not very many of you, right? So, for a simple 1 inch or 2.54 centimeters to grow, it takes 100 years. So, if it's, well, how many feet would you say it is? Feet, are you bringing in years? 40 feet, something like that?
Oh, where's the
Well, about 40 feet. 40. Do the math. How many years is that?
It's not 40 feet.
40?
Is on the bottom, is that
About
right there,
4,000
right?
years, right? Something like that. So about, yeah. So it's about 48,000 years. I know, math is tricky, right? About 48,000 years it would take for that formation to get that long, that big. It's an approximation, it's a guess. But that's half of what, well, working inside caves is. Because trying to date them is, well, incredibly hard. You can try to break off a formation and count the rings, but then you're destroying formations. You can try looking at them chemically and seeing what elements are breaking down as it radioactively decays. Sometimes you can find uranium, radon, beryllium. Well, during this whole decaying process, a gas is given off, and it's a noble gas called radon. Now, you folks are fine, but I'm not so lucky. I get to do these tours all summer, and because of this, I have to record on a sheet something about my radon exposure. And because of that, I have the potential of receiving cancer later. Yeah. But it's all worth it because I love this place. Now, we're going to go on to the next room. And if, again, just to remind you, we are going to be going through a tight squeeze and we'll be entering the dark room. So feel free to use your flashlight as well as try to keep your hands off of the formation, try not to touch. And if you are going through this formation, going through the squeeze here, and you're having trouble, just please try to keep your hands up and thank the cave gods for allowing you to come through here and to be able to slide on through. The way I do it is I suck in the gut and I squeeze the cheeks.
Loose.
That's why I don't.
Steven hates math. No, he loves it. This is what's too ashamed. That's my don't want to review.
That's not a seat.
That was a nice one, dude. I'll give you about like a 4 on that one. Take your time. Oh, yeah. We're all in this together. Last one. First spot, cozy. How did everyone make it through that tight squeeze? I would assume fine since everyone's alive. I would assume good because no one's saying anything, so I'm naturally going to assume good. It's okay to talk. I'm not a scary guy, I promise. I just like asking lots of questions. I try if my boss doesn't kill me. Does anyone have any questions? Not even a tickle.
What's this room called?
This room is called Marble Hall. And sometimes we like to have concerts here, maybe a dance or two. And we usually do that on the off season, so that way no one else is in here and nobody knows and we don't get in trouble. I'm just kidding, we don't actually do that because it's very illegal and, well, it also damages the cave. It violates one of our first area rules, which is to protect and preserve.
What is the off season?
The off season will be the end of September. So we're currently in our peak season, and we're going to swing on over into our shoulder season and then go into, well, slowing down and then start ready to close down the cave and winterize it and prepare to leave it be till May of next year. Yeah. So the cave, the only time that the cave really gets any peace and quiet is after September. Everything gets closed up, shut down, and does not see people till usually about April, May. Any questions? No? Well,
Why is this called
Marble Hall? Well, the reason why it's called Marble Hall is an excellent question that I wish I could give you a direct answer to, but I can only guess as much as you can. Now, I want to assume it's called Marble Hall because, well, it gets the name Hall because it's the biggest room, but it gets the name Marble because, well, the entire cave is made out of marble. That's my guess. I don't have an exact answer.
No, where is it? So the granite, there was granite at the end, so it's not.
No granite.
No granite.
No granite. This entire cave is made out of marble. The only rock that's on the side, that some of you may see it over here on this side, or even in the junction room, is called schist. I'm sorry, what's going on? That's right. Schist is another type of metamorphic rock that forms from thin layers of sediments. Alright, everyone turn off the lights. This is, well, what the cave sees on a day-to-day basis. Usually, when no one's here. This is a more natural state. So let's be quiet for a little bit and listen in. And you might be able to hear the sound of the cave forming before your very ears. So not even a whisper. Try to be as quiet as possible, please. This is what it looks like with lights on. And this is the only room where I like to do lights on because I think it's very cool, and I like the lighting that's done in this room. Now you can kind of get a better feel and better look at the room of how big it actually is. Because the room will extend for about from stem to stern, here to all the way back here, 160 feet. And from the top to the bottom, 60 feet. Side to side, 60 more feet. It is the biggest room inside Crystal Cave. And you're going to go inside. And here's the cool part. This cave is about 1.1 million years old. It's by far one of the oldest resources we have here in Sequoia and Kingston National Park. That squeeze, that's not so aptly named, known as Fat Man's Misery, is about 800,000 years old. Do you have anything that old at your house? No. Oh, I mean, if you do, that's pretty cool. I have something that's, well, pretty old at my house. It's the oldest rock in California, and it's about, well, I know, about 4.4 billion years old. It's pretty old. It's a fairly old rock. Now, would you let anyone touch it? If you had something that's 1.1 million years old, would you let anyone touch it? If you go to an art museum, do you go out and reach and touch out that vase that's standing there? Do you touch that painting? No, I mean, you probably want to because it's tempting because we're very tactile creatures. And we prefer to, use all of our senses. We like to use our sight, our taste, our smell, our touch, everything. That's how we learn. But when we come in here, well, we don't want to do that. We want to use our other senses, like our hearing, our taste, maybe, our smell, but not so much our touch. And a little bit of our sight, because, well, we can't see much when we go inside here, right? It gets a little dark. Does anyone have any questions? No questions? No?
Did you name your rock?
I did not name a rock. I have way too many rocks to start naming them because if I started naming them, then I get attached, and then when I get attached, I have to feed them, and when I try to feed them, I keep on eating things to the rocks. I have a rock collection that's various fossils from petrified wood to clams, trilobites, volcanic rocks, sedimentary. I have so many, and I don't think I could ever name it. I think it's just wrong on so many levels, personally. Any other questions?
That formation over there kind of looks like a venom.
What?
The formation on that far hand right there, one lights lit.
Oh, right here?
Yeah,
It looks like the mouth's coming out?
Venom.
Yeah, it does kind of look like that. I think more like a zombie. The venom looks good. As you're actually walking out, you should just point out something interesting. Now, we're all adults here, right? Okay. I'm only going to share this story because I think it's absolutely hilarious and we're all adults. At least I hope so. Just going to ask a question. I'm being serious about this. What does it look like to you? It's okay. You can say it. It is a stalagmite. Well, what other thing does it remind you of? Yes. Male genitalia. I kid you not, in the middle of one of my co-workers' tours, this gentleman with his child, well, my friend, he asked, what do these formations look like to you? He was going for stalagmite, and the guy just out loud in front of a bunch of kids goes, a penis! And that was at that point, I was like, okay, that's interesting. But that's. Yeah. But I like to actually call them meerkats because, well, someone else said, they do look like meerkats. Oh, there we go. And I like to think they do look a little bit like meerkats. They bear some resemblance, and it's better than, well, a phallic object. Now, as we're going through here, and we're exiting this range, you fall back through this path, you notice there's a formation here that you can kind of see from the side. It actually looks like a face. It's known as the old man of the cave. If you look out, he's pointing in this direction, like he's telling you, get out of my cave! But some people might be saying that he's just trying to point the way of the exit. Depends on how you look at it. And up here, you can barely see him, this formation here. It's known as Buddha. So, it's harder to see from this angle. It's better when you go around it, but it looks more like Buddha. And probably, I like this formation. This formation here, what food does that look like to you? Don't try your mind. What food does that look like to you? Bacon. The nickname of that formation is called cave bacon. So if you're feeling a little hungry, feel free to reach out and grab a piece. Just kidding, it's too far out, you can't grab it, and plus it's against the rules. Any other questions? Alright, well, I'm going to turn off the lights to save the cave as much as possible. So here we go, darkness. There we go. Alright, so follow me, folks, and I'll lead you through. So I look out for the formation. If you have any questions, feel free to This formation here hangs a little low. I'm about 5'11", but if you're around my height, sorry if you use meters, I can't tell you what it is. But if you're around my height, I would recommend watching your head because sometimes people don't pay attention here and they knock their head on here, leave hair follicles behind, and I have to come through and clean them up. And it's not very fun. So please watch your head. So move this up here. Turn around. You go in a cave. Okay, so make your hands on the back.
I mean, right? I mean, people watch all the time.
Dracula piece? Yes, I remember that. Well, over where I'm looking down, with the lantern to the left of it, you'll see some urines. There are 2 of them. They are pigmentless. They're very hard to see. So you might have to take a bit of a few seconds to look and figure out the art. They're the smaller ones. And they're currently eating, and there's some other bugs that are also eating the yolk. Oh, there's even some over here. Oh, they're so cute. You just crawl their little babies.
Oh, I see some. Yeah.
You see it?
See the dead one. Do you see him?
No. Huh. Oh well.
Maybe some of it. No, what happens is that it doesn't receive as much water, so it dries out quicker, and it doesn't help the people in the beginning. Exists. Well, I mean, it exists, but it cannot grow.
Oh, what is that? Is that wires?
Definitely lights.
All right. Well, are there any last minute questions? No? All right. Well, folks, I want to thank you very much for coming. I hope you enjoyed. And again, I hope you learned a little bit about geology. I know it's a little tough something to talk about, but I hope you get a better understanding of how caves form and the long process in which it takes. It takes millions upon millions of years, and every rock has a story to tell. And just like this cave, it has a very long history to tell. Now, we're going to walk our way out. Again, thank you very much for coming, folks. If you have any last minute questions on the outside, I'll be able to stay waiting. Thank you again for coming.
Keep getting for a phone.
Oh, big pedal.
Alrighty, folks, as you're leaving, go ahead and put your flashlights back inside that orange bucket where you grabbed them. If you have any questions, go ahead and wait around. I'll be sure to answer them for you. Go and drop your flashlight off in the bucket where you find where you found them.
Orange bucket by where you found it.
Oh, Cody, I noticed you touched the